The woman sitting in that courtroom did not look like someone facing the consequences of a brutal murder. She smiled. She checked her phone. She laughed with her attorneys. To casual observers, she looked more like someone waiting for a delayed flight than a defendant accused of helping orchestrate the death of a man who had spent years supporting her financially. That woman was Kelsey Turner. On social media, she was known as Bad Barbie, a model, an influencer, a woman whose photographs appeared in Playboy Italia and Maxim. Her online image was built around beauty, glamour, and the promise of a luxurious lifestyle. But prosecutors argued that behind the carefully curated photographs was something much darker, something calculated, something predatory. Because this was not simply a murder case, it was a story about manipulation, a story about trust being transformed into a weapon, and a story about a man whose kindness may have ultimately made him vulnerable to the very person he believed he was helping. The victim was Dr. Thomas Burchard. For nearly 4 decades, he worked as a child psychiatrist in California. Former patients remembered him as gentle, patient, and endlessly compassionate. Parents trusted him. Children felt safe around him. He spent his career helping families navigate some of the most difficult moments of their lives. According to those who knew him best, Dr. Burchard had a unique gift for connecting with young patients. He would perform simple magic tricks, hand out small gifts, find ways to make frightened children smile. Many people described him as a kind of medical Santa Claus, not because he gave away toys, but because he never seemed to stop giving pieces of himself to help others. Even after reaching retirement age, he continued working, not because he needed the money, because he genuinely cared about the people who depended on him. Yet beneath that generosity was a growing vulnerability. By 2019, people close to him had begun noticing signs that concerned them: memory lapses, confusion, moments where his judgment seemed different than before. Some believed he was showing early symptoms of dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Nothing had been officially confirmed, but those closest to him worried that his ability to recognize manipulation was becoming weaker. And unfortunately, manipulation was exactly what entered his life. Years earlier, Dr. Burchard met Kelsey Turner online. At first, their relationship appeared uncomplicated. A young woman facing financial difficulties, an older man willing to help. But according to prosecutors and people familiar with the situation, the relationship gradually evolved into something far more troubling. The requests for assistance never seemed to end. There was always another emergency, another crisis, another reason money was urgently needed. Sometimes the stories involved housing problems. Sometimes they involved her children. Sometimes they involved health issues. Each crisis demanded immediate action, and each crisis required more financial support. Dr. Burchard continued helping, month after month, year after year. Rent payments, living expenses, unexpected bills. According to testimony presented in court, the total amount may have exceeded $300,000. $300,000, an amount large enough to purchase a home in many parts of America. But instead, prosecutors argued, it helped finance a lifestyle built on dependence and manipulation. To understand why the situation eventually exploded, it is important to recognize what made Dr. Burchard different from many other victims of financial exploitation. He was not simply wealthy, he was compassionate. And compassion can be dangerous when it exists without boundaries. According to his longtime partner, Judy Earp, Dr. Burchard often helped women who were struggling. Women facing homelessness, women battling addiction, women experiencing financial hardship. He believed people deserved second chances. He believed that helping others was a moral responsibility. Unfortunately, predators often recognize those qualities long before their victims recognize the danger. Prosecutors later argued that Turner understood exactly how to keep that support flowing. Every crisis reinforced her importance. Every emergency created urgency. Every request strengthened the emotional leverage she held over him. And when sympathy stopped working, Investigators believe the tactics became even more aggressive. By early 2019, Dr. Burchard had reportedly grown suspicious. Questions were emerging. Explanations no longer made sense. The financial support seemed endless. For the first time, the foundation of the relationship was beginning to crack. And for someone who had allegedly become dependent on his money, that represented a serious threat. What happened next would transform a toxic relationship into a homicide investigation. Because when Dr. Burchard decided to look more closely at the life he had been funding, he unknowingly stepped into a trap from which he would never return. And according to prosecutors, the person waiting at the center of that trap was not merely a model. She was a predator who had spent years perfecting the art of turning kindness into opportunity. The fatal trip to Las Vegas was about to begin, and once it did, there would be no turning back. By early 2019, the relationship between Kelsey Turner and Dr. Thomas Burchard was beginning to unravel. For years, Burchard had provided financial support whenever Turner claimed she needed help. But something had changed. The stories no longer seemed believable. The emergencies never stopped. And according to people close to him, he was finally beginning to question whether he was being manipulated. That growing suspicion created a problem for Kelsey Turner. Because the moment a victim starts asking questions, a manipulator begins losing control. According to testimony later presented in court, Turner contacted Burchard shortly before his final trip to Las Vegas. She claimed she was struggling, she needed help, her child needed medication, money was running out. The situation sounded urgent, the kind of situation that would immediately trigger sympathy from someone like Dr. Burchard, so he agreed to come. What he did not realize was that this trip would become the final journey of his life. When Burchard arrived in Las Vegas, he entered an environment completely controlled by Turner. The house, the people around her, the information he received, everything placed him at a disadvantage. For a brief moment, however, something happened that changed the course of the entire case. One night, while riding in a vehicle with Turner, Burchard allowed her access to his phone. What happened next would become the spark that ignited the explosion. As Turner looked through the device, she discovered messages between Burchard and her mother. The conversations focused on concerns about her behavior, more specifically, concerns about her children. The messages suggested that family members were worried about the environment surrounding the children and whether intervention might eventually become necessary. For most people, discovering such conversations would be upsetting. For Turner, prosecutors argued, it was something much more dangerous. It threatened everything: her reputation, her control, her access to money. Most importantly, her ability to maintain power over the people around her. Witnesses later described an immediate transformation. The argument began in the vehicle and continued all the way back to the house. The atmosphere became increasingly hostile. Burchard reportedly tried to calm the situation, but the anger only intensified. Then the confrontation crossed a line from emotional manipulation into outright threats. According to testimony, Turner allegedly threatened to accuse Burchard of possessing child pornography. Think about the weight of that accusation. This was a respected child psychiatrist, a man who had spent nearly 40 years helping vulnerable children. One accusation alone could destroy his reputation forever. His career, his legacy, his relationships, everything. Whether the accusation was true no longer mattered. The damage would have been immediate. And prosecutors argued that Turner understood exactly how powerful such a threat could be. Witnesses described Burchard as confused and frightened. He reportedly kept repeating that he loved Kelsey and did not understand why she was treating him this way. Those words reveal something tragic. Even in that moment, he still viewed her as someone worth protecting. She no longer viewed him the same way. According to testimony from Diana Pena, the situation continued escalating inside the home. Realizing violence might be coming, Pena removed Turner's young son from the house and arranged for someone else to watch him. That decision may have prevented the child from witnessing what happened next. Inside the residence, tensions reached a breaking point. Burchard retreated into a bedroom. He closed the door. For a moment, it appeared he simply wanted to escape the confrontation, but the door would not protect him. Moments later, John Kennison came running toward the room carrying a baseball bat. According to witnesses, he kicked the door open. The frame splintered, the barrier disappeared, and the attack began. Pena later testified that she saw the bat raised into the air. Then she heard the impact. Then she heard Burchard crying. The violence had finally become physical. But according to prosecutors, the most disturbing aspect of the case was not who swung the bat, it was who, allegedly, directed what happened afterward. Because while Burchard sat injured and vulnerable, witnesses claimed Turner continued demanding action. At one point, according to testimony, she told Kennison to knock him out. Not help him, not call an ambulance, not stop the violence. Knock him out. Those words would later become central to the prosecution's theory that Turner was not merely present, she was participating. She was influencing decisions, and she was helping shape the outcome. The trap had finally closed. The man who had spent years helping her was now trapped inside a nightmare he could not escape. And before the night was over, prosecutors argued, Thomas Burchard would lose his life.